So what's your name?
Margaret Jean Deason, but I go by Jeannie Deason.
So how did you meet your husband, Art?
His uh, a first wife's cousin was working with me, and she asked me to call him, gave me his number at work, and asked him to pick her up. And then I hung up. I said, well, he's got a cute voice. And and she told him, I said he kind of had a cute voice, and she gave him my number, and he called me, and we started dating.
How long did y'all date before you got engaged?
Oh, maybe about 6 months. What happened is he was married to another woman, but they were separated. They'd been separated, and he had filed for divorce and everything. She called him and wanted to get back together, and so he did. And it broke my heart. It just broke my heart. And so they were together about 3 weeks, and then I'd gone with Sherry to Uvalde, and he was there at a dance, and I knew they had broken up again. And so we were sitting at the same table, and he finally asked me to dance, and I did. And while he was dancing, he asked me to marry him, and I said yes. But he later he told me he asked me to marry him, and he figured I would say no, and that would be it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I really thought that all he needed was love. I really thought that. I had so much love, and I'm a nurturer. I am. I'm a nurturer. And so I thought all I had to do was love him, and it would be okay.
Was he drinking the whole time y'all were dating?
Yes, but unfortunately, I was used to it. I thought that was normal. I did not know that that was a problem until we were married, and then he wouldn't come home because he was drinking. I mean, one day I made a romantic dinner, and he didn't come home. I never realized he had a problem with alcohol until I started going to counseling. I started telling the counselor what all he was doing. And she said, is he an alcoholic? I said, no, he only drinks beer. She said, duh. She said, how much beer does he drink? I said, between 6 and 12 a day. And I finally realized then that he was an alcoholic. And I finally got my life together because I was in a job I hated, and I was in a marriage I hated. And I would cry going to the job. I didn't want to go to the job, and then I'd cry coming home because I didn't want to come home. And then I finally started going to counseling, and she said, you've got to get your life in order. So the first thing I did was get another job, and then after that, we separated. It was a roller coaster. When he was happy, we were happy. But when he was in one of his, and I would say probably it was a depressed mood, he was sulky, he wouldn't talk, he'd get mad. He would be mad at me, and I didn't know why he was mad. And sometimes it's fun to be on a roller coaster, but sometimes you have to get off that roller coaster. The hardest part was the way he treated you kids. And that's when we had our biggest problem, is when he was mean to the kids, because this mother bear didn't like it. And I was in, do I support my husband or do I support my kids? Well, the husband can take care of himself, the kids can't. So I supported the kids. Was I right? Well, you couldn't prove to me I was wrong.
You were right. You were right.
Matter of fact, you were the reason that gave me the courage to leave. Because you looked at me and you were crying. And you said, please don't let him treat me like he treated Todd. And then I got on my knees and I prayed. And this peace just came over me. And I went out, and he was chopping wood. And I sat down. I took him a glass of iced tea. And I said, "Do you want a divorce?" He said, "Yes." Okay. I should have left him when you were a baby. I should have left him. But I was scared. You don't know the unknown. Could I survive? And it wasn't until I got out that I said, I'm going to make my own decisions. And I had to. I had to depend on myself because I had you and Todd and Terrell. And that's when I grew up, believe it or not. In my 40s, I finally grew up. And then I decided I was never going to let anyone treat me like that again. It took me 10 years before the Lord said, okay, you're strong enough to remarry. And that's when I was divorced 10 years before I married Papa. And he's just a wonderful man. He was the father that you never had. Yeah, Uncle Todd walking me down the aisle.
His cowboy hat.
I walked up to Unchained Melody.
Oh, that's a good song.
One day he asked me to marry him, just out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it. And I said, yeah, we could. He said, I thought you'd be so happy. I said, I'm not getting happy till you ask me. And that was not an asking. And so then we got up, got dressed, and we were coming through the hall, and we met, and he hugged me, and I hugged him, and he said, will you marry me? And I started laughing and crying. I finally got yes out. And so this was like in October, and then we got married in July. And I can count on one hand, one finger, how many times we've ever even snapped at each other. I mean, my love for him was different because he didn't need me to love him. He didn't need someone to love him. He didn't need someone to take care of him. He didn't need me. But he loved me. He wanted me. Healthy relationship is doing for someone because you love them, not because you have to. A healthy relationship is knowing someone's faults and loving them anyway. I think you can see Jesus through other people because of love. Because Jesus is love. And I'm going to tell y'all that one of these days I won't be with you anymore. But know that I am happy. Be happy for me because I'm going to be with Jesus. And he's the first one I want to see. I want to hug his neck. I want to kiss his wrist. I want to put my hand on his side. And I want to tell him, thank you. And I love you. And then I want to see Papa. And I'm going to run and jump in his arms.